This is going to Danny Wild Shots and Videos. This is April 2022. Oh, let's see where it's all goes.
It looks like a stream you could jump. Subscribe now. Sit back.
I like leaving comments and other people's content, etc. Let's do
And enjoy. One place at this list rewrote British laws. These are not ghost stories. Every entry has documented incidents, verified rescue data, or confirmed fatalities. Most are within 2 hours of a major British city. They appear on tourist websites. The danger is real precisely because these places look manageable. They are not. 18. Dungeness Peninsula, Kent, England. The largest shingle expanse in Europe, and in fog, the end of England. 2 decommissioning nuclear reactor domes. Dozens of rotting fishing boats collapsed on grey gravel. A single railway through a shingle desert. Derek Jarman, the filmmaker tracker, lived here until his death in 1994 and called it the end of England. In fog, arrives at Dungeness from the English Channel and North Sea convergence zone without warning. Nothing is visible beyond 20 meters. The shingle grades into the sea without a cliff. No gradient announces the transition from walking surface to tidal water. The RNLI Dungeness Station operates a Mersey-class all-weather lifeboat, specifically because shingle conditions make other rescue craft unworkable. It is one of the busiest stations in southeast England. The nuclear site's lights at night create false horizons that have confused navigators for decades. The honest note: Dungeness is eerie rather than imminently in clear conditions. Fate, the danger concentrates in fog, darkness, and wind at the Cape Point. But at the Cape in winter fog, sound is absorbed by shingle. Direction is impossible to judge, and the sea is invisible until you are in it. You are at the Cape in November. Fog. The nuclear domes, swallowed 20 meters behind you. In front, grey air. Beneath your feet, shifting gravel. Somewhere ahead, the sea. You cannot hear it. You cannot see it. The shingle grade is so gentle, you will not feel it change. Does a landscape need cliffs to be dangerous? 17. Marsden Grotto, Sea. Caves, South Tyneside, England. The cave that looks like a bar. There is a bar built into a sea cave on the Tyne and Wear coast, accessible by cliff lift through 30 meters of magnesian limestone, open daily. Adjacent to it, unmarked passages that HM Coast Guard attends multiple times per year, filling completely with North Sea water within 30 to 45 minutes of the tide turning, without announcement. The grotto was established in 1782 by a miner who blasted himself a home into the cliff. Marsden Rock, the distinctive sea stack offshore, lost both its natural arches simultaneously in March 1996, filmed by a bystander. The incident pattern at Marsden Bay is consistent. Visitors explore beyond the managed grotto. The tide arrives behind them. The passages close. The managed grotto creates the impression that adjacent passages are equally safe. They are not. Water in cave systems arrives from below, filling depressions before rising walls. By the time it is visible, the exit is already gone. 16. Sycamore Gap/Hadrian's Wall. Northumberland, England, 1,900 years of fortification, and the gap where the tree was. In September 2023, a man and a teenage boy felled the sycamore that had stood at Sycamore Gap for approximately 200 years. The tree was healthy. A 60-year-old man and a teenager were subsequently charged. The motive has never been satisfactorily explained. The Whinstone Escarpment remains, more navigationally ambiguous now than before. Hadrian's Wall was built by Roman forced labor from 122 CE, holding soldiers from Spain, North Africa, Germany for nearly 300 years. The Dolerite Ridge is exposed to unbroken northwesterly winds. Mobile signal is absent across most of the central section. An injury here after the dark means waiting hours. Northumberland National Park Search and Rescue attends walkers benighted, injured, or caught by weather on the exposed ridge. The honest note, Sycamore Gap, earns its place through extreme isolation and disquiet rather than technical danger. The post-2023 site has a specific eeriness, a famous landmark stripped overnight for no satisfactorily explained reason that no other location on this list has. You are at the gap in late afternoon. The stump is behind its barrier. Cloud is moving in from the northwest. Temperature has dropped 8 degrees in 40 minutes. No lights visible in any direction. 15. Forest of Bowland, Lancashire, England, 35 miles from Manchester. And among the slowest rescue response times on this list, the Bowland Fells were kept as private hunting grounds for centuries, which is why they have almost no public footpaths. Access land rights now exist, but the plateau, above 400 meters, is largely unmarked. Mobile signal is absent, blanket bog is saturated for most of the year, and the nearest mountain rescue base is Calder Valley, more than 20 miles to the east. The Pendle Witch Trials of 1612, the largest witch trial in English history, 10 executed at Lancaster Castle, took place on the eastern edge of Bowland. The superstition outlasted the paths. Manchester is 35 miles south. That is not a meaningful figure on the high plateau in Cloud. The specific danger, Bowland receives very few walkers. A person in difficulty is unlikely to be found by a passing stranger. Rescue depends entirely on someone knowing your route and noticing not returned. Would you walk a landscape when no one would notice you are missing until tomorrow? 14. Fingal's Cave, Isle of Staffa, Inner Hebrides, Scotland. By boat only, in calm weather only, and the weather decides when it ends. The hexagonal basalt of Fingal's Cave is the same geological event as the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, the same volcanic cooling episode, separated by 100 kilometers of Atlantic water. When Mendelssohn visited in 1829, he wrote the opening bars of the Hebrides Overture the same day from memory. The cave's natural resonance is approximately 440 Hz, concert pitch A, produced by the hexagonal columns acting as an amplifying chamber. Staffa is uninhabited, no signal, no shelter beyond a small bothy, no infrastructure, access by tour boat only in specific weather windows. Those windows close. Swell generated by distant Atlantic storms travels unseen for days before surging through the cave entrance without surface indication. Water temperature in the Inner Hebrides averages 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. Cold water shock kills before hypothermia. HM Coast Guard. Oban response time in adverse conditions, 45 to 90 minutes minimum. The solo visitor risk is specific. Missing the last boat leaves you stranded with no way off and no communication. What a solo visitor inside Fingal's Cave hears when Atlantic swell begins building against the columned walls is what Mendelssohn heard. What they need to be watching is the walkway behind them. 13. Fox Tor Mire, Dartmoor, Devon, England. The Great Grimpen. Mire is not fictional. Arthur Conan Doyle described Fox Tor Mire as a region of grey fog and ghastly bog where a man could disappear forever. The description is accurate. The mire is a blanket bog on the southern Dartmoor Plateau. Bright green sphagnum moss and cotton grass, looking like a well-watered meadow, concealing peat up to 2 meters deep. Animals die here annually. Dartmoor Search and Rescue attends 200+ incidents across the national park per year. The Southern Plateau has the slowest response times. The mechanism: wrong surface, rapid sinking, suction, resisting vertical extraction with a force exceeding most people's self-rescue capability. No companion means no one to pull you out. Mist descends in minutes on the Southern Plateau, makes the bog boundary invisible, erases all landmarks. Dartmoor Prison stands 2.5 miles north, built in 1809 to hold Napoleonic prisoners. The South Moor is the least visited section of Dartmoor. From a distance, a depression of bright green in darker moorland. Approach to 10 meters. The ground begins to give underfoot. 12. Loch Ness by small boat or kayak, Highland, Scotland, 227 meters deep, 6 degrees Celsius, and no rescue boat stationed on it. Loch Ness is 36.2 kilometers long, 2.4 kilometers wide, and 227 meters deep. Largest freshwater water body by volume in Britain. Surface temperature rarely exceeds 10 to 12 degrees Celsius in summer, falling to 4 to 6 degrees Celsius in winter. Cold water shock. The involuntary gasp reflex that overrides swimming ability triggers below 15 degrees Celsius immersion. A solo kayaker capsizing 200 meters from shore has minutes. There is no RNLI station on Loch Ness. Police Scotland and Scottish Fire and Rescue provide water rescue with a minimum 20 to 40-minute response. The Great Glen creates a wind funnel. Squalls generate 1 to 2 meter waves on previously flat water in under 5 minutes. Small craft cannot outrun the transition. The detail that rescue services note consistently: bodies submerged in Loch Ness do not surface. The water is too cold to produce the decay gases that cause buoyancy. The loch retains its dead on the bottom. How many people have drowned in it over recorded history is not known. Every year, the Nessie industry draws hundreds of thousands of visitors to a loch with no rescue boat on it. If you've made it this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel and sharing this video with your friends and families. It's completely free, and we bring new videos about our country. 11. Gaping Gill, North Yorkshire, England. An open 98-meter shaft on a moorland hillside, unbarriered. Alfred Wainwright called Gaping Gill the daddy of them all. The main shaft is 98 meters deep, the height of St. Paul's Cathedral. The chamber at the bottom is larger than York Minster's nave by volume. It sits on access land. There is no permanent fence. In July 1995, an 11-year-old boy entered the adjacent Jib Tunnel with an inadequate light and fell to his death in the main chamber. Coroner. Accidental death. The entrance was inconspicuous. In summer 1947, a decomposing corpse was found in the chamber. Never identified. How it entered a 98-meter shaft without equipment, never established. Fellbeck pours directly into the shaft. Heavy rain masks the sound of the edge, makes the approach slippery, and renders the warning signs secondary to the noise. The Craven Pothole Club runs supervised public winch descents in August. £30 per person in 2026, pre-booking from 1st July at cravenpotholeclub.org. 2 weeks per year. The other 50 weeks, open shaft, open moorland, no barrier. You are at the edge in heavy rain. The warning signs are wet. Below, 98 meters of air, then a cathedral-sized chamber. The shaft has always been there. 10. Kinder, Scout Derbyshire, England, 636 meters high, 10 miles from Sheffield. Record 73 rescue call-outs in 2024. The 1932 Kinder Trespass gave working class ramblers from Sheffield and Manchester the right to walk the plateau that had been denied them. Their struggle eventually produced the Right to Roam legislation. Kinder Mountain Rescue Team had 73 call-outs in 2024, their highest ever. Edale Mountain Rescue had 180 incidents, their busiest year in history. In 2026, the call-outs are continuing. Kinder Scout is 636 meters, barely higher than some tall buildings. It is a featureless peat bog with no summit cairn and a network of groughs, steep erosion channels through peat, knee to chest deep, running in all directions. Cloud descends to plateau level on approximately 200 days per year. GPS shows position. It does not show safe lines through the groughs in darkness. Phone batteries die in cold. In December 24, a 3-person group required a 7-hour rescue from the furthest point from any plateau edge. Kinder MRT. The accident happened at the furthest point from any of the Kinder edges, right in the center of the plateau. By the time we got there, the weather was starting to deteriorate and it was going dark. In February 2026, a 19-year-old woman planning her first solo camp was stranded at Crowden Tower after her phone charger failed, taking her navigation with it. Across the adjoining
Content is currently broken, so I have to, but yeah, I'll get another one eventually.
the wreckage of a USAF B-29 Super Fortress that crashed in December 1948 is still visible. Engines and fuselage sections scattered across the peat, a war grave protected by law. All 13 crew died. The plateau absorbs war disasters as readily as walkers who underestimate it. The honest consideration, Kinder Scout looks like a hill. It generates rescue statistics more consistent with a serious mountain range. The specific danger is confident underestimation of 636 meters made by people 10 miles from Sheffield, on a plateau that looks in summer entirely benign. Across the adjoining Bleaklow Plateau, the wreckage of a USAF B-29 Super Fortress that crashed in December 1948 is still visible. Engines and fuselage sections scattered across the peat, a war grave protected by law. All 13 crew died. The plateau absorbs wartime disasters as readily as it absorbs walkers who underestimate it. The honest consideration, Kinder Scout looks like a hill. It generates rescue statistics more consistent with a serious mountain range. The specific danger is confident underestimation. The assumption that 636 meters is not enough altitude to matter, made by people 10 miles from Sheffield. You are on Kinder in cloud. Groughs on all sides, the peat channels dropping away vertically underfoot. No landmarks. Your compass says north. The plateau is approximately 10 kilometers across. How far have you already walked in a circle? 9. Lindisfarne, Holy Island, Causeway, Northumberland, England. 5 RNL. I rescues from the same 1.6 kilometer road in 12 months. Holy Island is one of the most significant sites in early British Christianity. Lindisfarne was established by Saint Aidan in 635 CE. The Lindisfarne Gospels were illuminated here. On June 8, 793 CE, Viking raiders arrived and destroyed the monastery. The monks were killed, enslaved, or fled. Alcuin of York. Never before has such terror appeared in Britain as we have now suffered from a pagan race. The Viking Age in Britain had begun. The 1.6-kilometre causeway connecting Holy Island to the Northumberland mainland is a tidal road, passable only within specific windows. Crossing times are posted on signs at both ends, available on rnli.org, displayed on boards at the approach. In 2024, the RNLI attended 4 confirmed incidents on the causeway. The fifth occurred in August 2025. On 9th May 2024, 2 German tourists on a motorcycle were standing in rising water, shouting for help. RNLI Officer Ian Clayton, language was a present issue, which probably contributed to missing the crossing times. The following day, a car and 2 people, mid-causeway, woman and dog, standing on the car roof, car submerged. On 21st October 2024, 4 people waited in the orange refuge box, an emergency cabinet on stilts at the midpoint, accessed by ladder, as the road surface disappeared entirely under the North Sea. Berwick RNLI deployed their new Atlantic 85 lifeboat on its first operational call-out to bring them out. RNLI Lifeboat Operations Manager Kevin Knox. There is clear signage on Holy Island about the dangers of trying to cross when the tide is coming in. Please read the tide timetable before you go to Holy Island. The honest 5 rescues from one stretch of road in 12 months. All the information required to avoid this situation is public, free, and displayed in multiple locations. People drive through the beauty of Northumberland to reach a holy island, see the priory ruins against the Northumberland sky, and drive. The island has a permanent population of approximately 150 people. Every year, thousands of tourists follow them, and dozens each season discover that the tide does not wait for people to finish their arc. You are mid-causeway. The road behind you has a thin refuge box, is visible on its stilts, 200 meters left. The island is ahead. Your car has started to feel different on the surface. What did the crossing times signs say this morning? 8 Piers Gill, Scafell Pike, Cumbria, England. A ravine that looks like a path and then becomes a trap. In a 7-month period between August 2023 and March 2024, 4 serious incidents occurred inside Piers Gill, a deep ravine on the corridor route descent from Scafell Pike. 4 deaths in 8 years at this specific location. 40+ total rescues. The ravine looks from the main path like a reasonable descent. It is a trap. Wasdale Mountain Rescue Team's official statement. Piers Gill comprises a series of waterfall climbing pitches. They can only safely be attempted by rope access. It can be tempting to believe that the one just descended is the worst, but they get progressively harder. They are also more difficult or impossible to climb back up. This results in a trap where either people become stuck or they risk taking the next descent, thinking it is the last one. Eventually, either people fall or become stuck with increasing hypothermia risk. On 29th of February 2024, a lone walker spent 24 hours inside Piers Gill with injuries to both feet. Rescue: 17 hours, 8 mountain rescue teams, 2 search dog teams, 2 helicopters. Nobody knew he was there until a second walker in distress happened to spot him. Each one of these rescues has been successful because of amazing luck, Wasdale MRT stated. In June 2024, the National Trust and Fix the Fells installed a specific navigation cairn at the Piers Gill junction. The first intervention addressing the ravine. The surge of incidents is attributed to walkers following GPS route apps that direct them into the Gill as a descent. This routing error has not been corrected. 7. Crib Goch, Snowdonia, Wales. 500 meters of Knife Edge Ridge. 200 rescue calls per year to Snowdon. Snowdon receives more mountain rescue call-outs annually than any other mountain in the UK. Approximately 200. The national park averages 8 deaths per year. Crib Goch, the 500-meter Knife Edge Ridge that opens the Snowdon Horseshoe, is one of 2 named accident black spots on the mountain. The ridge is a Grade 1 scramble at 923 meters. Both hands in use. Drops of several hundred meters on both flanks. Rhyolite turns smooth in rain. In ice or snow, common October to April, it requires crampons and an ice axe and genuine winter mountaineering technique. Once committed to the traverse, there is no simple exit. A solo walker who freezes mid-ridge cannot self-rescue. The view from Penny Pass car park makes Crib Goch look achievable. The transition from ordinary scrambling to committed exposure happens at the point where turning back is as dangerous as going forward. A walker who completed the Horseshoe in winter described the Pinnacles section as the place where you stop thinking about the view and think only about your hands and feet. Is the walk described as spectacular in a guidebook the same walk as the one that generated 200 rescue calls last year? 6. The Strid, Bolton Abbey, Yorkshire, England, 2 meters wide, 9 meters deep, and every person who has entered the water is believed to have died. The river wharf is 27 meters wide at Bolton Abbey. At the Strid, 0.5 kilometers north, it narrows to 2 meters, forced through a limestone gorge more than 9 meters deep over an underwater cave system of overhanging rock and powerful vortices. The information board describes it as more than 2 double-decker buses on top of each other. The visible surface is white, energetic, narrow. The actual river is 9 meters of underground turbulence. Professor Carolyn Roberts, College, London, of vortices in the flow will trap bodies under the water close to the bed or the sides, whilst the turbulence will render someone unconscious very quickly. It's not a good place to play. In August 1998, newlyweds Barry Collett, 29, and Lynn Collett, 25, 2 days into their honeymoon, were walking beside the river when a flash flood raised the water level 5 feet in a minute. Neither survived. Barry was found 7 weeks later, 10 miles downstream. In 1934, watercolor artist Arthur Reginald Smith set off to paint the river. His easel was found at the Strid's narrowest point. His body was found 50 meters downstream. The earliest recorded death, the 12th century, when William de Romilly leapt with his greyhound. Both died. His mother donated to the Augustinian monks, who built Bolton Priory to pray for his soul. The priory still stands. The Strid is unchanged. Tom Scott, whose video on the Strid has been viewed millions of times, it looks safe, it looks tempting, and it will kill you. The honest note, the Strid is the most dangerous small stretch of water in Britain, and possibly the world, by size. Its danger is entirely in the contrast between appearance and reality. The surrounding Strid Wood is one of the most beautiful bluebell woodlands in Yorkshire. Warning signs. People still approach the bank edge. You are at the bank. The gap is 2 meters. The water is white and amber over moss. It looks jumpable. People have successfully jumped it. The bank means a missed overstep puts you not in the narrow surface gap, but in the cave system beneath the overhang. 5. Beachy Head, Sussex, England. 162 meters of actively eroding chalk. In April 2024, 2 massive cliff collapses occurred at Beachy Head and the Seven Sisters within 48 hours. Thousands of tons of chalk falling onto beaches that had been accessible in the hours before. The mechanism: water seeps into chalk fissures, freezes, expands, shatters the rock. The collapse follows weeks after the causative weather event. The fissures are invisible from the surface. An undermined chalk section extends 50 to 100 centimeters behind the visible edge. The ground looks solid until it is not. Beachy Head is the highest chalk sea cliff in Britain at 162 meters. The beach below is a tidal trap, accessible at low tide, closed when the sea reaches the cliff base. Between 1965 and 1979, 124 deaths were recorded at the site, 100 assessed as likely suicides. The Beachy Head chaplaincy team has patrolled the cliff top since 1965. Samaritan's phones are installed on the cliff. The team can be reached at 01323737274. Beachy Head carries two distinct categories of danger: active geological collapse and a 1,400-year documented history as a site associated with tragic personal choices. Both deserve acknowledgement with equal seriousness. The ashes of Friedrich Engels were scattered from this cliff face into the sea at his request. The chalk keeps eroding regardless. 4. Corryvreckan, Argyll and Bute, Scotland